Good morning, please sit down. After uttering that phrase at the start of this term, I went on to wish everyone a healthy and happy new year and commented on how the 2020s decade was going to be fascinating for historians to look back on. I also expressed a hope that the sort of values this school aspires towards would be influential both in this country and the wider world in shaping a more kindly global society that better respects humanity and the planet. I then said I suspected even Yoda could not see exactly how things were going to play out. That turned out to be something of an understatement, and as Vladimir Lenin said, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. So it has been for this spring term. It would be all too easy to allow current affairs to overshadow the many and varied activities and successes of UCS pupils throughout most of the term, which started in early January and may now seem a different world away. It is worth reminding ourselves of what has been achieved by our 11-year-olds, our 18-year-olds, and all those in between. For the former, how impressive to have volunteer specially trained transitors pupils leading discussions in form time on mental health, offering experience and wisdom to their younger peers. How much more effective, perhaps, than when much older-looking adults attempt to impart the facts. Furthermore, how impressive and giving when these transfer students offer to arrange online help to the entry boys as they enter periods of remote learning or even self-isolation. As one of them put it, a bunch of us could set up a weekly Google Meet session to play Kahoot with the lower school, or it may be that they have worries or simply want an older mentor in the school, or even just a joke. As for the latter, our sixth, they remain an inspirationally aspirational, positive group of young men and women with a remarkable can-do approach. A significant proportion of the cohort applied for places at Oxford or Cambridge, taking on all the pressure of meeting the early UCAS deadline, submitting extra written work for certain courses, sitting various aptitude tests for many courses, and succumbing to searching interviews at more than one college so as to demonstrate their particular worth in a global contest that becomes more competitive year on year. Each and every one of them will have gained measurably from the experience. Their academic curiosity, research skills, and ability to discuss their subjects at great depth will stand them in good stead, irrespective of where they go next year. And putting themselves forward for consideration and being interviewed will prove to be hugely helpful when they come to apply for their first job one day. Not only that, 28 of them received offers. This is an outstanding achievement and sets a new school record, a new high tide mark for others to challenge in the future. I have promised this year group, who found themselves last Friday concluding what may have been their last lessons in physical school, that we will hold a graduation event later this calendar year to celebrate their diversity and talent, and to thank them for all their contributions to UCS life. They have very much set the tone and spirit of the school this academic year, and I am hugely grateful to every one of them. For the middle school, perhaps their production of birdsong captured the talent that lies within. For this was a show of such poise, purpose, portrayal and poignancy that the audience very soon forgot that the actors were young teenagers and, rather, were drawn in utterly to the visceral horrors of the First World War and some of its post-traumatic aftermath. More broadly, the school embraced the return of football to the home ground, with the playing fields draining very effectively the greater than usual quantities of rainfall. Although we had to be careful with the still strengthening grass, many fixtures were held there. As ever, trying to balance favourably the win-lose ratio whilst encouraging mass participation remains important to us. I was as delighted with victories against local friendly rivals Highgate in week 1 as the block fixture in week 4 involving 110 pupils representing UCS in 14 matches with 9 wins, involving 2 schools, 4 venues and 43 goals scored. I do not have the space here to acknowledge all the wonderful activities and successes achieved this term. Do read the Frognal to gain a wider perspective. At the risk of being invidious though, I do feel it important to mention the work of the musicians. They have managed to celebrate Beethoven in real style, stun audiences with their chamber music, and charm us all with the music making of various ensembles, whether after school in a formal setting or during the day via pop-up lunchtime concerts. The icing on the cake? 3 leaving sixth form soloist concertos performed to an intimate yet socially distant audience of a few parents, friends and senior staff. An occasion anchored in my heart as we sail through these uncharted waters. Whither do we go from here? We should expect summer term to commence in UCS Virtual, following on from how we have operated this week. I am proud of the approach the staff body has taken to ensure a smooth and successful transition to guided remote learning. They have responded to these unprecedented circumstances with strength, confidence and innovative thinking. We are lucky to have such a caring and committed group of support and teaching staff. Equally, the response of the pupils has been hugely positive and engaging, and they seem committed to continuing to work as hard as ever. This period will be a moment that helps define them, and it is wonderful to see their UCS spirit shining through. There is a fair chance we will not be able to open the physical school even by the end of the summer term. The cancellation of public exams is a particular blow to the upper remove and sixth, and we will be contacting separately those students and their parents once we have clarity, expected next week, from Ofqual on how their grades are to be awarded. We shall continue to work on and evolve our virtual school provision, including both academic development and pastoral oversight. In these unprecedented times, which are proving testing to so many people, I know the entire UCS community will pull together and move purposefully forwards through relationships, resilience, resourcefulness and responsibility. A final reflection. For me, the last several days have been dominated by lists and logistics, diktats and decisions. I suspect, though, that what I will remember in time is that these are days of deep-rooted humanity, when we, the older generation, help them, the next generation, to play their part in a crisis that will one day pass. May that day come sooner rather than later, and in the meantime, I wish you all a healthy spring break.